Okay, looks like we're live again. Alrighty. Um, hey everyone, thanks for joining in for another game dev stream. Today I'll be working on some visual updates to the shopping alley. Just gonna create a little bit of geometry and then get back into our store stock inventory population. So let's move over here. Right. Just finishing up some modeling. A quick update, I guess. Just finishing up some modeling regarding the last machine for the city. And if I close my Max, yeah, you can see it here. I imported it, just sort of like a out of this world water cooler, you know, kind of like a water refill station type dealy. No textures yet, of course, but those are the three machines. Anyways, let's move over to the city level. That's where we're going to be working. Right, so I've been planning to do this for a while, just haven't gotten around to it until now. I'm just going to delete the nav mesh bounds volumes and our NPC characters from here. Basically, if you guys have been following along, I guess I'll play. We've been creating our city environment, right, the hub for the game. And you can see this central area here is the shopping alley full of different stores and stuff like that. Um, on our last stream, we added, the day transitions for these shops, so you can't really enter them, um, you know, until it's the right time of day, right? If we cycle things back to early morning, the shop works, right? Um, I also addressed the lighting issue that we were having inside of the city level, but the 4.16 change to the cloud settings, I do not know why the clouds are dark. I haven't gotten around to that just yet. But what I wanted to do here and explain was this. This is the the main entrance to the city, right? And I sort of want to pretty it up a little bit. And I want to do that by adding a central island to the trigger boxes and reference. Okay, I'm just gonna open up the level blueprint real quick. And I have it on my off screen here. Yeah, I can just delete those, save and compile, and that's totally fine. Okay. So what I want to do is add sort of a central island to the middle, uh, to the first block, you could say, this section here, as well as this length as well over here. It's going to be pretty simple. We're going to just move this a little down. I'm going to do the second block first. That's because the first one's going to have a little bit of a special treatment. Let's see here. The simplest way to do that would be to sort of grab this street and just drag it outwards from here. I'm just going to center it and get the details. I can see it's 2,300 units across. I want to bring that down to something like 600. And that is not the width I wanted to adjust at all. The Y. Probably keep that around 200. And maybe even that's a bit too thick, you can imagine. If this is a lane width, it's 400. Just sort of freeballing this here. And actually, one detail I do want to add to actors as I come across them is to flag them as. If we right click, we can go to our level and believe on our transform we can lock actor movement, which is quite handy. So we can't move this key actor around. Its position is locked in the world. And I sort of stumbled onto this just exploring through the Unreal Engine's menus here. It's definitely a useful feature for, things in the world I don't want to accidentally drag around and move. Anyways, I think 150 will be a good thickness for that central island. I'm going to grab this and using the Alt key, just going to drag this down a little bit. And it's way too long. The X size of this is 2200. Now I don't want something as aggressive because I don't want it to be like an immediate wall when you enter the city. Maybe something even less than that. Let's try 1000. And shift that up over here. I'm just going to grab my player start and move it over to the city entrance using the shift, holding down shift to move my camera with it. And if I play from here, yeah, you can see that this right here is a bit, I was a bit too aggressive with the space that I've created here for it. So we can bump that up to 1200. This might be something here we can work with. I think looks pretty good. Again, these might have to be aligned better, but for the time being, I just want to experiment with the shape and the sort of results we can get from this. I just want to try and experiment a little bit on stream to see what different looks that we can achieve. I'm going to change this to a subtractive box. I'm just trying to create this island element without creating any custom meshes, just using the BSP, some textures, and the existing assets we have in Engine. I don't really feel like this detail warrants a unique mesh or texture set. It's more of a flourish than a functional piece. But anyways, just don't want to use a scale tool. I just want to work with the numbers I have here. Whoops. So we could do something like that. I want to probably create a little bit more space. So I do want my post to be sitting here. Define my box brush. There it is. Call this. Should name these island, shopping alley, island, subtract. Right. So from here, I just want to reduce this, sort of dump it in like, whoa, not the result I want at all. So nothing fancy. I just want to reduce and cut out from that that shape, and probably drag this piece out here as well, so that we have two, street lamps, so to speak, just sort of capping off that island. I believe I have some generic materials as well that I can apply to these sections here that we've cut out. So my flower material, I think I had something, it's like a simple brown really that I've been using for soil and things like the potted plant over there. For the time being, I'll leave it like that. I may want to look into creating some shrubbery. Actually, I think I have some already. Is that in line? Of course it's not. Let's nudge that up a little bit, and okay, now this should be in line with those two. Yeah, it looks good. This looks good. I do want to get the same effect. I'm just going to drag this over here. It's going to be a bit too long, definitely more than a little bit. What kind of length do we have here? This block is 1500. So let's go with 1200 and bring this over. And I'm just going to grab some bushes from the nature pack here. I used the rescaled flora, and we have a few bush types. I think there's one missing. I'm just going to make a quick note. I believe one is missing from the transfer to this new computer. Okay. Hey Kratos, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Hope everything's well with you. Okay, and you know, I'm just gonna kind of cheaply and quickly throw these in. Throw these in here, something like this. I'll just see how this sort of feels. I'll come back to it a little bit later. Whoa, that's huge. What a weird pack. I'm just gonna grab these three and sort of slide them over. And alternatively, what might look better or nicer is to use some flowers instead. But you know, as a placeholder, I'll leave these for the time being. I really ought to, before spending any more time on here, just sort of sketching, if you will, a little idea I had. But before proceeding and spending any more time, what I should do is take a look at some landscaping reference. But I won't do that on stream. What I want to get into is the functionality of these stores, specifically with populating inventories, because we have the functionality and we have the ability to program, but what I want to do is I have a list of sort of like a store inventory of item mechanics on my data sheet here, and I just want to begin populating that into the appropriate stores and enable their functionality. Oh, Kratos learning C++ in Unreal. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. How are you finding it? Okay, I'm just gonna move my player start over. Just gonna move this right here and unpilot that. And now, yeah, we'll be playing right here. So, check this. This store doesn't work yet, so let's enable it. I'm seeing as how I am populating the store inventories. I'll start with this top one, and I believe if I look at the inventory items, we do have a slew of the items for the store. These clothing types. It's a little strange as to why these aren't showing their thumbnail, but it shouldn't affect anything, I don't think. These are old. I need to delete these at some point. But again, at the risk of keeping a stream that doesn't cause Unreal to crash, I'm going to reserve that for another time. So let's see here. We have our junk shop. Let's Control B, grab that. It's going to have all the references I need, and I'm going to just display it on my other monitor here. Actually, you know what? Come to think of it, so we've created our item stash, right? It sits on our game instance, and we have built the actor to interface with that item stash. But what I would like to do is we have this menu where we have buy and sell, but what we should have, definitely what we should have, is a buy to box functionality on all of these stores. I mean, some stores may not require it, right? But we definitely want to have that feature enabled. Just thinking on how we want to structure that. That's funny. Now there's collision here because of these meshes. Anyways, take a look at my widgets down here. So in our shopping menus, our shops folder, we have a junk shop buy menu, a basic shop buy. I believe this is what the other shop, the Gadgets and Gadget store, the one down here, is using. If I recall correctly, we have inventory buttons. No big deal. Shop inventory button. There we go. Okay. I'm actually going to start with this store just because the functionality is already set up, and because I sort of goofed. I thought we were ready to go with populating the new inventory, but first I just want to make sure we're that I'm taking the right approach here with regards to setting them up. Because the last thing I want to do is have them all set up and they're all incorrect, and I have to change them all. I guess sort of like that measure twice, cut once approach. Okay, let's see here. Let's open up this blueprint. I'm going to check it out for sure. And hop in here. So this is what's driving the inventory interaction. We have our on begin play, and we have whether the shop is open or closed. Those checks are in place. This really should be connected. But anyways, we have our transition camera. Let me just compile. Okay. So on event interact, we transition our camera. Then we have our actor phase checks. It starts at 0. We come through here and we have sound effects, dialogue set up. Shopkeeper says, "Welcome to the store." This is generic dialogue for now. We remove this from the parent, and we set the actor phase to 1, causing no inputs to execute. And then we get into the shop menu itself, where our player controller automatically has focus when it's open. So shop menu buy, and if we play from here, welcome to the store. I see. So in essence, all the stores need to follow the structure of the junk shop, where we have those two menus, not two menus, but two widgets. One where we can select what we want, and then it opens the subsequent shops as per the instructions set on the event graph. So you have buy, sell, and okay. So what I would like to do ideally is to have all these shops use the same menu interface but populate the data independently. So looking at the junk shop, or let's just find in content browser. Whoops, not that. So we have a junk shop buy menu. This is the one, junk shop front. So perhaps we need to have a storefront menu, where we can set the details on all of this. Yep, let's just do some experimentation. Hope you guys don't mind. Let's check this out. And what I'm going to do is make a duplicate of this. I'm going to call this shop front. Sorry, just going to close my Photoshop down here and just rearrange my windows. So let's see here. So we have our shop front and our basic shop buy. We're going to use that, but use that later. We want to work top down. Just helps me. I prefer to work top down when developing, especially with menus. It just allows everything to be laid out easier in my mind. Okay, so from here, what I'm going to do next is just sort of pull up some widgets for reference. Definitely the junk shop. I'm just going to keep that off screen. And so here we are. We have create the shop widget. Okay, so right here we have, I guess I can make this a little bit larger. Well, you know what, I'll leave it as is for now. Not really sure what to anticipate. Let's just create some space. And right now we have, as soon as we execute the interaction and we get our dialogue, we open the buy menu, but we don't exactly want to do that. Rather, we would want to create the shop front. So I'm just going to duplicate this. And all these nodes came along for the ride, along with this. So this is the setting up of the inventory. However, not all the shops need to be handled or stored on the game instance. For stores that aren't as complex, I think I explained in an earlier stream, their inventories will be handled on their actors. And hopefully we can design all the widgets so that they can all be shared by all the stores, but have the data customized and populated on their parent actors. Or maybe not parent, the owner actors. Maybe that's proper terminology. Anyways, what we want to do from here is create a widget. Let's grab our new one, our shop front. And from here, well, there's a bunch of stuff we gotta do. We want to play animation. And the animation we want to grab is it's the junk shop front enter. I believe it is. There's a few, actually there's just one here. So, I mean, it's called the junk shop front enter. Probably shouldn't be called that. But if we preview it, we can see the menus come in and our options populate. Which is fine, right? It's all right. But I should probably rename this to shop front enter. Let's compile and save those. And over here it's updated, so shouldn't have any issues with that. The next thing I want to do is give an actor reference. Nope. The widget would have the actor reference. And this should allow us to call these different events, like open the buy menu and things like that. So just move that over here. Because we have so many stores in the game, but if I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say it's unwise that each of them have their own set of widgets. Might be a little excessive. Let's get a reference to self. Can we do that? Get reference to self and populate that as the actor reference. Strangely, it doesn't want to take it, maybe because if we go into, let's get out of the animation first. If we go into our graph here and take a look at the actor reference, it's looking for the junk shop, which is not what we want. Instead, we should use the parent of what those actors are, so that all the shops can use them. Probably an interact test tier 1. Sorry, interact tier 1. And I'm going to change the variable type. Unfortunately, I think it has to be that way. If I think about this, actually, hold on, let's do nothing first. First thing I want to see is find our references. Exit dialog, remove from parent, opens buy menu, opens sell menu. So that's interesting. Those functions are native to the junk shop, we might have to do some restructuring. I was sort of avoiding it, but it might be rather the wise decision. Okay, so from here, the issue is all these shops, if we open up and take a look, they are of the Interact Test Tier 1 type. And what they should be, probably, are parents of this. Because if they were, they would inherit all the functions and necessary features. This is something I sort of learned a little later in my self-teaching. Let's create a child blueprint class. I'm going to just call it child for now. That's fine. And let's place it right here. Just close off that school for now. And I'm going to open it up. And just to make it a little bit unique, I'm going to change this to a different storefront. And what's interesting is we have all of our elements, all of our components inherited by the parent class. They are adjustable and they work just fine. And also in the event graph, well, it's nice and clean and we can call to and override parent functions, which is probably what you want if we're going to be honest. For this case, the junk shop makes the most sense for acting as a parent, just because it has the most complex features where you can sell there as well. So you have buy to stash, or buy item box, as well as sell. I think I covered everything. Sorry. I'm trying to be an interesting narrator here, but it's also a little difficult when I'm trying to problem solve and think about what to do next. Okay, let's see. Looking at the Gadgets and Gadgets shop, one improvement that I really did like was that it used a spring arm. Now, if we're going to be working off children with our classes, we should add that spring arm to our parent here. So let's grab a spring arm and just mount the camera to it. Well, that's a little weird. Okay, let's zero this out. Okay, so here's our spring arm. And let's just set this back up. For arm length, let's just go with 550. Oh, whoops. That's not what I wanted at all. And just get something like this. Sort of, in essence, what we had before. Well, that might make things a little easier. Okay. Let's see here. Not exactly enjoying the field of view here. Yeah, this actor should have a locked movement. Let's see. And if I want to bump this out a little bit further. Change this to the local orientation, or sorry, the world orientation. I'm going to compile and just verify that that component is behaving correctly with the code that was there originally. So, yep, looks fine. Okay. Yeah, let's check that out. Probably the right thing to do. Okay, let's get back to working on this child actor. Now, looking at this, we should probably Well, target arm length works, but the transform tools do not. I don't know if there's a setting in here we have to enable. Well, it seems as though, as sad as it is to say, it seems as though the camera boom or the spring arm was a bad idea. Let's just get rid of it. The junk shop parent should be fine. Its functionality will remain intact. The child doctor now is sort of a bit more free with its camera. We can sort of position it wherever we want it. Yeah, just do something simple like this. Whatever. It's a test child actor, but this will be the store camera for it. And it should maintain all the functionality of the parent. Perfect. Okay. So let's see here. We have our parent actor, we have our shop front widget, and we have our child actor here. So this is much more of a shop system setup, just because I have to go through here and sort of improve and optimize on it. Now then, our child for the stores it's all clean and beautiful, which is kind of what we want. However, inside of our parent, we have several areas that need to kind of be populated. A dialogue like this needs to be set. I mean, actually, something I should test. On the child, if we set up our... Oh, we definitely want this to be valid. And we can get rid of these. But, as I was saying, if we grab our... if we go to our functions and override event interaction... Where is it? Oh, here it is. So if we override this, it should sort of overwrite the junk shop and go back to the default. which it looks like it has. And just as a troubleshooting test, if I call reference to parent function, it should go back into the junk shop, I believe. Cool. So, with that in mind, we should be able to I want to say copy and paste this code. Let's see if we can. Let's go bit by bit. I'm going to drag this to my other monitor. Whoopsies. Okay. So let's go through here. We don't need the parent call. We'll just go through here and check if shop is closed. If it is, all of this is working. That's cool. So we have our pages of dialogue. And we should be able to call dialog box setup. Beautiful. And we can see the parent level this is calling, because this is two children deep now. And we have a dialog macro as well. Unfortunately, as a limitation to my current setup for how we handle dialogue, it needs to be done this way. We have our dialog reference execute, and I kind of have to expand this node and then collapse it to a macro for repeated use. Dialog execute. And just clean up that macro a little bit. Add our inputs. We want our message there as well. And we don't have any questions for this store. What we would have is our isLast boolean, just flagging if the dialog is at its end. So come back to our event graph. We can compile, and from here we can copy. We can duplicate this, apply that here, and set this for the final dialog. And what we want to do here is remove from parent and then end interaction. I might not have to actually remove interaction, because if we're going to call the end interaction on our parent, it should automatically kill any and all dialogue actors. I mean, I believe it will. I'm not exactly 100% on that, but I want to believe that I built it to do that. Let's see here. Okay, so dialog message here. Looks like the shop is closed. Just want to add the notifying this last dialog. Okay, so from here, where are we? We can come through here and just flag this as best to come back tomorrow. So this is fine, and it'll only flag true if, well, let's force it right now, because I haven't set up the time of day features, although it should be there, now that I think about it, because the parent class would enable that. I'll just pass this through the end interaction for now, just so we can test both versions of this child actor. What I'm looking exactly the kind of functionality I wanted. Okay, so from here, assuming the shop is not closed, we should transition our camera. We can call that event, and we can set up another flow control using a switch on integer with our actor phase variable. However, if we make it nighttime, this door should now be closed. Perfect. And we've set up our custom dialog, which is exactly so. Just going to copy and paste this whole comment box from the parent. So the active phase is phase 0, which is our starting phase. Let's organize this a little bit nicer. We have our 2 sound effects, doorbell, and our dialog box construct. And at the end here, we have a remove from parent of this widget. And we should use our dialog exe or execute. And I will say something like, welcome to the shop. This is sort of it's not a parent actor, but it'll be what we duplicate our other store versions from once we get it to the level of functionality we desire. From here, what I mean by that is I don't really care about this dialogue and what it says right now. But from here we should have an actor phase, and we set that actor phase to 1. And like I demonstrated earlier, phase 1 would and it would execute nothing, and then we could, or we should, be able to maintain focus onto a widget, which in this case will be our shop front. See, it's coming full circle. We're getting back to what we want. And I'll pull that from here. Yeah, something like that should meet my requirements. Okay, so from here we would have play animation. And the animation we want to play is shop enter. Hook that up for the in animation. And from here we would have set actor reference. And from here we should be able to get a reference to self. Perfect. And now we're kind of back on track in a way. I'm just going to reroute these. Make sure it's a little easier and neater to read. And, oh yes, we should not add this, but we want to grab our widget and add it to viewport so that it's visible. And in here is where we would have some setup for setting data on this widget. So if we save and I hop into the level and we go up to the store, welcome to the shop. And you can see we should have the store's name change as well as this menu. Right, certain shops wouldn't have the ability to sell, or certain shops would only have buy to box, for example. I'm not going to really call it buy to box. I think what I'll call it is buy and send and deliver to home or something. Just because some items are of a different nature than like potions. More so, it's the case of, I mean, not more so, but what I mean is sometimes you have furniture, and then if you buy a couch and it is being delivered to sent to your item box, it sounds weird, at least in my mind. Anyways, looking at the shop front widget, we want to be able to influence, well, maybe influence isn't the right word. We want to set text for shop title general. We want to make sure that's a variable, and we want to set shop title specific, and we want to make sure that's a variable too. You know, and as a display right now, store name specific, whatever. Yeah, generic title, whatever. That's fine. What I want to have here is on the event construct, we want to have a design initialize, right? Maybe not. Maybe we don't want to be a design initialize that we just phase through, but rather we might want to create our own function inside of the shop front. What are the overrideable functions? Interesting. Not using them, but interesting nonetheless. We'll make a new function and call it set custom data. And let me just retitle this. I don't want spaces in there at all. And on our actor, right, the actor that's in the world, we want to set or get set custom data. Perfect. We want to execute this. And I have it set so that we set this data before we add it to viewport, so that the player should never see the widget look like this. It should only see the specified shop titles. So set text. Gonna duplicate this here as well. And we have set text here too. So we have set general, set specific. Just organizing my blueprints the way I like them to be. Nice and neat, easy to read for other collaborators. Okay, so shop title general. This text, we're not going to fill it here. We're actually going to set it to an input on this function. So from here, we're going to just label these as logical as possible. So shop title, shop name text. And we're going to do the same here. And just call this shop detail text. And what's the best way to lay it out so it's not confusing? I'm not sure. There's going to be a bunch of other data we have to populate here as well. Store name, store specific, this menu too. Let's just verify that this is working. So right now these are empty. And let's call this test store. If I can type properly, my lord. The struggles are real. Okay. Shop detail text. This is a unique store based on child parent junk shop. Super long store name. I guess it's good to test those out. Because some store names might be long. The general store text should never be that long. It'll always be kind of short. Okay, looks like my music's just finished. Let's just set up a new track. Okay, I can dig with this one. Okay, so from here. Yeah, test store. This is a unique store based on the parent junk shop. Perfect. Default text, please populate. Gotcha. Yeah, we haven't set up the exit yet. But that's fine. It's totally cool. I guess we could do that right now. And we can probably comment this box as well. And, whoa, what happened? How's my focus here? Create shop front widget. Okay. And place that like so. Maybe that's neater. Try to maintain and prevent overlapping wires wherever possible. Just maintains that readability across the widget. Okay, anyways, we have our shop front created here, and we're being to set up some data, but let's set up the ability to exit the widget. So in the shop front, if we look at the event graph, we should have on back button clicked, we set the actor to phase 2 of the actor reference, and we've set it up so that the child is the actor reference, which means once we're at phase 2, inputs are now enabled to fly out of here. Also, I believe we automatically we remove from parent so that widget gets killed automatically, so we don't have to worry about cleaning that up on the actor itself. So let's do this here. We'll create a end interaction, and I guess we'll try to keep the logic here as logical as possible. Yeah, that's probably right. Okay. So we have a event exit dialog. And from here we set the page to 0. And what we're going to do is, just grab the same setup. I suppose this could just pass through like that. It's the same result we would have. Right, does that make sense? Set page to 0 on the shop front. Interesting. It should work, but we'll see. We will see. What I want to do is grab these two elements again. And before I forget, let's comment this. Shop closed dialog. And the shopkeeper says something like, come back, oh geez, come back again. Great. Set this as the last dialogue, that should be fine. From here, we don't need a third execution pin. Oh, whoops, we do not want to end the interaction here just yet. Rather, what I want to do is call a custom function on the parent dialog box destruct. And then we can remove from parent. Just copying the code from the parent here. Unfortunately, we have to overwrite it because don't really have the kind of, because these are variable, the dialog strings, we can't really set it with a function that we overwrite because you don't know how many pages one shot might require versus another. Like something that differs from actor to actor. A street sign might be, one page of dialogue, right? Things like, oh, head north to the city. But actors like books or documents that you're investigating that have multiple pages might have several. So we want to maintain that functionality. From here, yeah, we'll just put reset camera over here. Transition camera should work fine. Don't believe we need to set up anything else. Okay, let's see if we can exit the store. Welcome to the shop. Default text, please populate. And we get stuck still. Fascinating. If I look at the junk shop itself, oh, right. We did not pass this through. What we should do is come through here. I believe that is the right call. Let's try that again. Well, hey, close the editor. Infinite loop. Detected. Oh, what's happening here? Begin dialog, call stack. It's the end interaction. It's a little odd. I feel as though it should work just fine. Just gonna move this over here and just set this up like so. Let's troubleshoot this. Come back again. Okay, so that does work. I just got a notification that my headphones are running low, so I have to unplug my gamepad here and set that up on my headset. There we go. looks like it's the first time plugging in these headphones on this computer. Okay, now then. This looks like it's working now. What I want to check first also is let's just see the right. So just looking at the actor setup here, because we can make this a bit more advanced and personal. Well, not personal, but add more personality rather, where we could grab from here. We can set the actor name. Set character data. So we could set an image here and a name. So shop owner, right? And a picture as well. So I believe. Okay, so not exactly working. The actor name. Oh, I see. From here, we should let's take a look at the parent. Oh, Jesus. Right, so definitely sort of broke my textures. It's very strange. I noticed something on the construction script, a rather weird set material and mesh. Super strange. But we don't need that at all on these shops for sure. And S dialog, we don't need that either. That was for some old beta stuff. Button index, we might need that. I'll keep that for now. In any case, we have an interaction title, as you can see, as well as an actor name. Set actor name. There we go. I want to set these. And it could be dynamic, or it doesn't have to be. But we for sure want to set the interaction title. The actor name is usually for an NPC. But anyways, for the viewport, all we have to do here is set our material instead of this house material. Let's just grab the junk shop material. And we're good to go. Let's move that back over. And if we slide over here, yeah, we have that material on this shop now. It's fine. Doesn't really matter what this shop looks like, to be honest. But anyways. So where did we leave off? Parent script, right. Because if we come to the shop, it says enter, which is fine. We can leave that. That's obtained from here. If we break this and play, you'll see it says check, because that's the basic, extreme default of the construction script, or of the variable rather. But by calling to the parent, we get that dialog, which is cool. However, dialog box setup, we should set the character name. you know, shopkeep. So that should definitely display, which is weird. If I look into the parent class of this function, we set up the dialog, the pages, everything for functionality. It works, looks great. Actor name gets passed through, and the widget reference also gets passed through, that's totally fine. Nothing out of the ordinary with that. Looking at actually, if we grab the widget for the dialogue, we have a portrait place and a character to get populated, character name, and in the graph we should have a function, set character data, where we set that visible as soon as this executes, and we set the name to that input. So that should be fine. I mean, if we're selecting an avatar artwork, let's see here. Just for the sake of experimentation, let's just set the character avatar art as as Maya, and see if that works. It all should display. Very strange. This is hidden by default. Sorry about that. It's not bound to anything, right? It looks all clear. As a quick test, what I would like to do is just grab one of our NPCs and throw them in here. Sorry, under character NPCs, let's grab officer. Let's grab this dude. Let's see. Okay, so he has his name and character art is working perfectly. If I look into his blueprint here, he is working with this exactly. And well, to be honest, it looks identical. Can't for the life of me figure out why that's the case. if we, go over to waste bins for disposing garbage. Right, this stuff should be fine. Character convo. There has to be a conflict somewhere. Oh my gosh, yeah, of course. Of course, gosh. Yeah, basically, that's for if the shop is closed. Don't need that there, we need it here, and now we should have everything working as you could ever want it to be. Target, just plug that in like so. And actually, so now if we go to the store, there we go. It works. Amazing, right? Anyways, what I'm going to do is remove this from here. Actually, I'll keep it. But we want to set the avatar to none. We don't have an avatar for the shop. Not yet anyway. Shop keep is fine. And what I'm going to do is copy this and paste it down here as well. Because we definitely want that same shop keep to say, come back again, right? Why did it do that? Okay. However, on our junk shop actor, we definitely do want to set that data. Right? Got the character's name, and he's got some artwork too. Maybe it's under junk. Very strange. Where? Oh, that's super bizarre. I'm just gonna import that. It must have been lost during when I switched to this computer. My apologies for this. I'm just going to go through my directories and grab that avatar. Yeah, here it goes. Let's drag and drop that into place. Import him, and we're going to set the texture group to user interface. Save. And close. Now if we type Floyd, there we go. There he is. It's more like it. Okay. So, and we should be able to copy and paste this right here as well. So now, when we play, this the shopkeep talks to us, he welcomes us, and when we leave, he's like, come back again. Amazing. And if we go to the junk shop, welcome to the junk shop, right? Beautiful. He probably should remain on screen, but for the time being, that's how it's gonna have to be, I think. Yeah, I think so. Because you probably do want him here while you're selecting what you want, because this is basically in reference to talking to him with regards to your action. Yeah, let's come back again. For the time being, I'll just set it. I'll use up that default function. That's fine. Okay, so now that we have our character data being set, we can enter and exit the shop. I'm just gonna save all real quick. There it goes. It's saving. It's doing its thing. We want to continue setting up the custom data on our storefront, specifically with this menu. So we have a menu box here, a vertical box containing buttons for buy, sell, and that's it. So, as you can probably guess, we need a bit more, one more option. I'm going to have to rename these to button1 underscore buy. And let's duplicate this. Oh, you can't? Copy, paste. That's what you have to do for widgets. It should be something like that. We'll grab the sell button, move it down one, so each one has a space in between. Looks good. And our vertical box, let's just blow it out, make it huge, like this. Crazy, right? Anyways, we have button1 underscore buy, button2 underscore buy to box, and you know what? I'm a fool. This should be button0. Rename this to button1, and this last one, let's rename it to button2 underscore buy to box. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. What? Did I not get enough sleep? Come on. Okay. Anyways, we have our buy, sell, and buy to buy and send to home. Doesn't really fit at all. Yeah, that's fine for now. We can adjust the sizes and text later, and we probably want to do it on a per. No, we don't. We don't want to do it on a per item basis at all. So let's see here. We have our set custom data. So this is back on our junk shop child. We're creating the shop widget, and we set the data for the store name and text. The next thing we want to do is set a limit to 2. So we'll have those 2 options, and change button state. So here we have the color transitions or the themes of these items. What we do need to do is grab a buy to box there. So I'm going to get this variable. And okay, let me just set the last song up on my playlist here. Let's go with this one. This one's good. Okay, so from here, what I want to do is hook all of these up, and these are our transitions for the user interface. And this is for focusing on cell. Let's grab that color here and grab this color here. So we have reference to both of those. We're going to want this to be gray. This instead will be green. This will be gray. And these three gray. So perfect. So now we should be able to cycle between all those menu options and have them highlight appropriately. Okay, so that doesn't work just yet, but it does cycle. Set button index to 1. Right. I get it. Set button index to 0. That's fine, but what we need to have here instead of the simple 0 and 1, because it's no longer a one-off, or an option between 2, what we have to do is +1, and not through an increment, but rather a +1 with a clamp. And the highest we want to go when focusing up, or sorry, excuse me, this would be a -1. The +1 would come down here, and we would clamp it by 0 and 2. Let's get a bit more space up here. Zoom 2 should work perfectly, and now it works. This is a little sensitive, definitely more than it needs to be. So we check for these inputs, and what we should have here is instead of a branch, we can use a do once. This is something I found to be quite superior. Just in terms of a flow control, it's just fantastic. One of my favorite default functions, definitely. Cool. Much cleaner. So now, let's look at this. Button index 0, it's all perfect. We can focus up on these. And from here, we call a function rather. Depending on the index being selected, we call a function. And that function is an event that's based on our junk shop parent. We can see that here. So let's just go to our junk shop parent, and we have those functions: buy menu, sell menu. Let's create a new custom event. I call it buy to box or stash, buy to stash menu. Oh, why did I spell like mustache? Whatever. Okay, small problem, no big deal. compile and save. It doesn't do anything right now, but now that we have our cell feature here, we basically, I guess I can just duplicate this and pass it through and replace the cell 2 button with cell 1 by the box and pass that through. So then we'll call the, well, probably don't want to call that menu here. What we would rather do is open that stash menu is what we want to do. By the stash menu. Keep it consistent. Let's call it open. So, whoopsies. Grab from our actor reference. Open by to stash menu. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so now if we compile, well, we should save and compile, and those two, well, they should be functional. There's no doubt in my mind that it wouldn't work, but here's what I'm thinking about right now. In our widget, we have this function, set custom data. If we go there, what I was thinking of doing was, I've done this before, grab the parent, in this case it's the vertical box, right? So you can make this a variable and call it shop front options, right? Excuse me. And, right, so what I was thinking of doing was setting that up from here and sort of removing an item or remove a child, right? And we can select the content, but that doesn't help us too much. We want to do this dynamically, right? Rather, what we should do is remove child at. And here we have our index 0 to, well, we have the index that we can remove from, and we have these positions, right? Now there are spacers in here which have to get removed because those would take up an index slot, which is no big deal. Spacers 10 units. To be honest, spacers were something I started using because I was following a tutorial, but then I realized padding is, well, for me, it's definitely superior. You can still do the same effect. You just select your button and set your padding, and then you have greater control with regards to your indexes. I mean, you don't have to worry about conflicts. Yeah, so sort of like this. So now we have, if we look at our shop front options and we collapse these, we have 3 indexes, so like 0, 1, and 2. So from here, we should be able to, pass this through. And then that could have a title like shop option to remove. And then we could select what item we want to remove, right? We have a default value. It should be something like 4. 4 should be remove nothing. That 3 would be remove nothing because it's 0 to 2. But so if we compile and save, yes, let's remove option 0. Why not? And if we play, we should have no option to buy. Well, we do, so that's not working. Oh yeah, of course. Of course it's not working. My lord. Okay. So let's play. That should compile. Okay, so we have two options, and this thing got huge. We should have a scale to size to maintain the size, our desired size anyways. But outside of that, it removed the item we wanted. But that not kind of, it definitely throws off our, if I go to the widget, it throws off this, our counting, our cap of 2, 0, 1, and 2, so 3 indexes, it kind of throws off this. And it definitely would mess up this, because then all of a sudden index 2 is now cell, or you see what I mean? Excuse me. So it kind of complicates things a little bit. Now we could have these options correct and adjust and gate if we had to. Right? We could set the capacity for these limiters based on whatever comes out of here. So that's one way to work around that conflict, right? Um, let's test that out. Actually, there may be another way to do this that might be less convoluted, perhaps. So if we go to the shop front in the custom data, now we could, um, between these three, we can set visibility. Instead of working with the shop front and removing the child, we could collapse, and that should work. Just to check, let's test it just on this first one here. And we'll just pass it through very simply, not working with any logic. So let's compile and save, hop in here, and it did work. However, you can see index 0 still wants to be reached. So kind of need a way for this to be handled. Need to figure that out. The best way to remove it, but also I don't know. Definitely not ideal. Set visible. Because we could quite easily set this capacity to a variable, right? And call it max index, right? And by default, it could have a value of 2, right? I mean, it does by default have a value of 2. So, and that would work. And then based on the options that are removed, you could then set the number of max indexes, or like set what the max index would be. So like that would need to think about this a bit more. I think I'm on the right train of path, or the right thought process and direction in terms of figuring this problem out. Um, because we can set our indexes. So this could even be 1 or, whatever. But we either need to find a way to cap the focused indexes, or find a way to kind of omit them as we select, which might be better. We could do a result here where we change the focus button state, but depending on what it is. So on each of these, we would have a branch that would check, is this enabled? Actually, we shouldn't do it here. We should do it here, because this is where we lock functionality. So we'd have, is this equal to 0? Which is the max, right? Check for top limit. And then we might have to have another branch. And it would just sort of pass through this as false. Whoops. Check if desired index is void, I guess. And then if that's true, you would we would subtract that by 1 again. Okay, so this will definitely work. However, everyone, I'm getting pretty hungry, and I think I'm going to have to call it a quit for today's stream. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to continue working on this tonight and share out with you guys the results. And tomorrow, I want to get into some ruins work and build what I've been calling, at least to myself, sort of like a modular corridor that segments different rooms and hallways, right? So typically ruins are, designed to work in sort of like a snap together manner, where you could have 2 types of areas, hallways and rooms. And basically, we kind of need a transitional all-purpose piece that should be an actor, and it should be a template, and it needs to be measured out and modeled and set up. So that is something that I am definitely looking forward to building, and hopefully we'll get to that tomorrow. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Oh, I forgot the end screen. Shoot. Okay, well, whatever, guys. Late.